eternity in a great resumption of form this season. Fox wins the Austrian Grand Prix and he wins the Italian Grand Prix. A great race for him. Will come across the line here and win the Brazilian Grand Prix. Redemption day for the American driver. She wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Will beat Kubo unless Tado gets an amazing run, which he does. As he comes to the final winner for the very first time.
Hello, and welcome. This is Ultimate Virtual. Gosh, we're back. Finally, after the mid-season break. It felt like an eternity to me, and I'm sure it did to you too. But we return once more at the Palanga circuit, the third race that will be taking place at this track. All of them have provided such spills and thrills over their years hosting at this venue. We had a glorious victory in Season 5 from Somehow I Made It, and a wonderful win in Season 6 from Mr. McProl. One of those drivers is no longer on the grid, but I'm sure the other will be hunting for victory once again. Taking a look now at the team overview. SFR lead the way in the championship, 81 points to their name. They've got a token in hand on FVR, who are just behind them. The team out in the lead, unsurprisingly, also have the best points per token of any team on the grid. It's now a pretty even split with the speed levels, 2 for a lot and 3 for some. Audi and Thunder X still on that 3, and Leadpool finally moving up onto that 3. So I think you can essentially treat this race as a battle of the other stats, but keep that in mind that the teams that should have extra speed at what is essentially 2 straight lines with a little figure of 8 in the corner, the teams that should have extra speed are Audi, Thunder X and Leadpool. 20 upgrades now on that SFR car. That is the most, despite the fact that they've been hunting after that speed level. Nobody else has quite reached their level. Fox on 19 upgrades now. And it should be really fascinating to see how this will play out in the rest of the season. We'll take a little look, like we did last time, just at the standings quickly. You can see now, after 5 rounds, Jake is your championship leader. He is in really good form, but he is now out of tokens. Goose is the next contender, and he sits there pretty on 46 points, 4 tokens left for him. Where he spends them remains unknown, but this may be the championship winning year for the FVR driver, just as Superfast Racing in Season 5 pulled themselves from the middle / back of the grid to being the World Drivers' Champion. So may Goose this time around. His teammate Todd not having a bad season of his own, yet to get on the podium though this season. He got the most podiums out of anyone last season. And then finally, quick look at the standings, although we've already seen them. Leadpool, Neon Sunset and Fox, the only teams yet to take a podium so far this season. We are on the final lap of proceedings, and Pit Crew, spending tokens for the first time this season, is on provisional pole position. Anti, though, is flying on this final lap. These cars, funnily enough, heading into that hairpin, carry a little too much speed for one's liking. So, we'll have to see. Somehow made it, though, with amazing progress. He hits the top of the timing sheets on the final lap by a good quarter second. That may just see him take pole position. It will. On the final lap of proceedings, Somehow I Made It clinches pole position. What a lap from the Russian. 24.02 sees him start from the front. Pit Crew got relegated to 2nd place. Incredibly though, it's Suicide and Pappy. It's a Pappy Pop 2nd row lockout. That is incredible. Prix and Anti will start 5th and 6th ahead of Juan, then Fox and Goose and Jake filling out your top 10. Caddo starts 11th, just ahead of Grandy. Then the BFXs start 13th and 15th respectively. Kraft and Jiruni, Shiloh splits them. Todsod will start 16th. Ampha ahead of Corvid, then Kada and Rito, meaning the entire grid lies within a neon sunset sandwich. Now that is really quite something. Let's have a look at our token spending. Because the Pappy Pops drivers, credit to them, are spending absolutely no tokens and have just locked out the second row of the grid. That is something. I mean, truly, it is. 9 acceleration, I wonder why. Similarly with the Audis, 5th and 7th, as you can see, 8 acceleration on that car. Really incredible. Tokenless drivers, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th. Brilliant. So, the token spenders stay. Not many of them. We've had really extraordinarily high spends so far this season, and it has returned back down to a level of somewhat normalcy. Or actually below normalcy for this race. We have in total just about 15 tokens being spent, which is well below the average you'd expect. 25 I think it's been so far, but we'll go from the top. Pit Crew spends his first 2 tokens of the season. His teammate doesn't look like he'll win the championship this season. Can Pit Crew take his second title back to back? Caddo spends 2 tokens. He'll start just on the fringes of the top 10. 3 tokens for Game On Goose. He starts down in 9th. He'll look to climb throughout the race, and I'm sure he will. His car's got good acceleration. 4 tokens for Vlad. He starts from pole position. A single token for Fox. He'll start in 8th. They need more points in order to secure their safety. And then finally, Vlad's old teammate, the anti-amazing. 6th place for him on the grid, spending 3 tokens. That may well be your fight for the win. The only drivers to spend 3 or more tokens, Goose, Vlad, and Anti. We have a true battle on our hands. Old friends will unite. Old enemies and old rivalries will be settled here in Palanga. We'll take one final look at the standings. As you can see, Goose, Jiruni, what would happen with our title contenders? Grandy, of course, out of tokens. His teammate Pit Crew 19th with a single point to his name. He's going to look to put more on the board today. Somehow I made it. May see himself climb potentially all the way up to about 11th or 10th in the championship. Actually 9th place I think it would be. No, it wouldn't. It would be 10th place if he wins today. And then of course Game On Goose could really put in some proper effort here. Really interesting though to see that before this race he had 4 tokens left. He's going to split that 3 and 1. Fascinating strategy, maybe that of a champion. Final look at the tokens left here. You can see ThunderX are ready to make progress. They have a good few tokens on all the teams ahead of them, and they lie about a dozen points behind their next competitor. They are ready to really take in the big boy points here. That will be all. Let's get straight into the iconic, the ever-present, wonderful Lithuanian Grand Prix. Here we go then. 54 laps ahead of our drivers. We are underway for the Lithuanian Grand Prix. Immediately, Pit Crew gets the jump. Somehow I made it, almost stalling at the start. He goes back 2 positions already. Meanwhile, the Audis are looking to make up some position. Somehow made it, gets that turbo going down the back straight and really closes it up to the ThunderX driver. Can he make a move here? No. He's just going to have to avoid him as we get a bit of rain on lap 1, making the strategy choice of Somehow I Made It. And the drivers like him who chose that hard compound tyre, completely redundant. Prix, also a victim of that. Anti and Suicide looking to make their way up. Pappy has had quite a poor start. He's dropped a couple positions already. Pit Crew went into the pit lane as the lead car. It's going to be very nip and tuck on the exit. Indeed, the Audis double stacking the Pappy Pops cars in a real fight with them. As you can see, Goose now splits these 2 teams fighting. The rain's not come yet, so lots of skidding and sliding will be seen on this wonderful overpass on the circuit. Really, really interesting. You can see the big losers off the start there. The BFXs really just going backwards. Suicide, the only driver on the full wet weather tyres. All of the others, these water animals in the Pappy Pops, embracing the conditions, and everyone else going halfway for the intermediate, including his teammate actually. Out in the lead though, Pit Crew as they go through the overpass. Somehow I made it really just struggling for grip there, but as they go through the chicane side by side, they pull, and somehow I made it way out into the lead. He will go. They really need to just slow down as they come through here. It's a very treacherous bit of track, especially with the new top speeds of these vehicles. Juan and Priya, amazing running still in 6th and 4th for the tokenless Audi cars. I'm sure that will not be the way they finish the race, but remember, we really don't have that many drivers spending tokens here today, just the 6 of them. If Fox potentially finishes down the order like his teammate has been doing with token spends, we could see a tokenless driver come home to take a sort of top 6 finish, or whatever it may be, a considerable number of points. Somehow I made it stretches an advantage now over Anti. Pit Crew has fallen into 3rd place. Priya, then Juan and Goose, Pappy and Grandy, Jake, Suicide on the edge of the top 10. He's dropped down a few positions. They've been the losers off the start. The Pappy Pops cars dropping from 3rd and 4th to 8th and, well, now 9th. Jake into the 10th position at the moment, and much sliding on the exit of the corner there. They're really going to need to sort that out. Suicide gets a slightly better exit though than Juan, who has dropped a couple positions here, down to 9th place now. Caddo, all the while... Oh no, sorry, it was Caddo at the back. My mistake. Somehow I made it leads. Anti sits in 2nd. These old co-owners, these old teammates will be fighting for the win. I have very little doubt over the course of this Grand Prix. Pit Crew sits in 3rd place. Priya, then Goose. Goose already up from 9th position. He's in 5th, and he gets this bit of nice open track. The corner that takes you up the ramp to the overpass. He gets a slight collision in the overpass, actually. The corner takes you up the ramp to the overpass. There's quite a nice open right-hander after the tyre chicanes going down at the back straight, but he isn't able to make a move there. Pit Crew falls off yet further, and Anti goes through into the race lead. Remember, 4 tokens for Somehow I Made It, and 3 for Anti. We'll do a direct comparison of their cars. The Neon Sunset sits on 2-speed, as does the SFR now with that upgrade. That could give Anti a real boost in this race. Comparing acceleration, it's 5 for super fast racing. For Neon Sunset, it's only 4. Then grip, 6 for super fast racing, and it's only 7 for super fast racing. It's only 6 for Neon Sunset, and 6 turbo to Neon Sunset's 4. Overall, that is 4 more upgrades, and all of them, well, all of the departments aside from speed, superior in that super fast racing car. Will it be super fast here today? Anti responds to that by setting the fastest lap of the race. Suicide falling like a stone. His gamble to take the full wet weather tyres did not pay off. He actually very scarily has to swerve and avoid craft there. The Pappy Props racing cars, almost flashbacks to the KRTs at the end of Season 3, starting high up with the reverse grid, falling outside of the points pretty quickly. By lap 10, they are currently on to score just the single point. KRTs obviously only got there because of the reverse grid, whereas these Pappy Pops cars qualified there fully on merit. Anti into the pit lane as the race leader. Somehow I made it in 2nd, Pit Crew in 3rd. He's still in this conversation. Anti may start to go backwards a little bit, taking the hard compound of tyre. Priya and Juan both in soft and medium. Juan will look to just follow his teammate, as Grandy quite cleverly just managed to sneak ahead of Juan on the exit. Jake comes blasting full speed down that straight, but isn't able to undercut any of these drivers. He will remain in 8th position. Then actually, well, the BFX is running 12th and 13th. That's a bit of an improvement on their start. They seem to be pretty well stuck together, those black and cyan automobiles. Anti still leads from Somehow I Made It from Pit Crew. Now it's Juan and Priya. Side by side they go. Juan on the medium, you reckon, should just know his place and stay back, but Priya has to take a wide line to avoid the back of Grandy's car. Then has to go defensive into the downwards loop, and that means that she defends effectively from Juan. Losing them both a bit of time. Goose in 4th position is on the hard compound tyre. He needs to break into this podium pack if he wants to stand a serious chance of winning. Remember, 6th or higher here today would almost undoubtedly make him the championship leader. Why is Grandy there? That's a really good question, dear audience, and we'll answer that right now. The Thunder X car has 3 speed, good. 6 acceleration, pretty good. 6 grip, pretty good. I think that extra speed level could be massively helping him at a track like Palanga. Just as we've been talking all the way about Grandy being out of championship contention, he is currently overtaking the man who is 2nd in the championship behind him Wait, that's not correct. He's not the championship leader. Jake is. But still, he's currently overtaking the man who we think, is dead set for the championship. The man spending 3 tokens today to Grandy's none. If he could beat Goose here, that would be a race result for the history books at Thunder X, and maybe the perfect track to spend no tokens at, especially with how low the token spend is in general. If you look, as predicted, Fox down to 13th position. Unbelievable to see that. Who are the other ones spending tokens? You've got Caddo with 2 as well. And then you've got our sort of big 4 of Picker on 2, Goose on 3, Anti on 3, Vlad on 4. But Caddo in 8th. So yeah, we really do still have, at this stage in the race, 2 tokenless Audis running 6th and 7th. Currently on course to score a whopping 14 points. Not at all to be underestimated. Somehow I made it back through on Anti into the race lead, maybe helped a little bit by the back markers, but Anti got quite a good run through that corner. He's just going to pull past somehow. I made it going down that straight and effortlessly, unlike me saying that word, on the dual carriageway, just slip back into the racing line, but somehow I made it, goes down the inside, uses a bit of that boost, and Anti has no real response at that point in time. Both of them deploy the turbo as they come out through that final chicane. Somehow I made it will keep the lead for the time being, but needs to make sure he won't lose too much time. We might see a very similar overtake as we did last lap if Anti decides to get the boosters on here. He doesn't just yet. Where will he make his move? Somehow I made it might go deep here. Anti goes deeper though. Can he get down the inside here? Will somehow I made it unghost in time for him to do it? Not really, mind. So he's still going to be stuck behind. Adva, really the thistle that's annoying him here. Anti has to try and get back on the racing line, very close to the tyre barriers. He goes there and there as well. That all allows, very close, meaning he hit it. That all allows somehow I made it to just get out into the lead. This could be not just the first points of the season for the only driver yet to score points this season, but a whopping victory from pole to go along with it. As it stands, we are 19 laps into this 54 lap race. Do not go anywhere. This is proving to be an absolute thriller. Pit crew looking to try and get Anti, but he goes really deep, and Adva causing all the issues for our front runners here today. Once again getting in the way. Rito trying to hold Goose back to help his teammate create a bit of a gap out in the lead. This may well be decided by rainy conditions, folks. That could be an absolutely crucial component in this race. Meanwhile, we'll look at the rest of the field. Prix is into the pit lane now. New softs for her. She gets passed by Grandy and Suicide, but at this stage in the race, to be running in 9th place right after making a stop. Grandy, though, has also recently made a stop. He could be on for serious points here, and that is no lie. When you look at him in the standings, we've written him off. We said 43 points, it's not good enough. He needed a couple of those 7th place finishes to be podiums. He needed some more points at this stage in the season. Well, obviously, 11 or more would have put him top of the standings, but still, he's on currently to score 6. It could be a lot more than that when we see drivers coming into the pit lane. Into the pit lane just now was someone, I thought, maybe not. But Prix just behind. Jeru, really? I mean, what a recovery from the BFX boys. They started 13th and 15th. They fell right to the back at the race start. They are now just on the verge of the points. And by which I mean they are in the points. They're scoring 3 at the moment, though they do need to pit. That may cause issues. Fox having a poor race. That's 1 token for a P11. I think it's only ever worth doing the 1 token spend if you've got the car to suit the track, right? You've got the acceleration of the Pappy Pops cars meant they were sick in qualifying. Same with the Audis, but they've got the speed to back it up as well. That 3 speed is so critical, and that's something people have been neglecting with the perhaps decreased value of a speed level this season. People haven't been investing in it as much. Look how much difference it's making. The SFR would not be in this conversation on 1 speed. Grandy and the Thunder X would not be that high up on 2 speed, nor would Prix, right? That is the tokenless drivers and the ability that they have. And I think 1 token dropped in here, changing another race, maybe from a 3 spend to a 2 spend or a 4 spend to a 3 spend. If you put a token in here as a tokenless car, as a car that's well suited to the track with the speed and acceleration it requires, my good golly, you could be in for something, all right. Goose is into the pit lane. He's very high up, actually. Is he? No, he's not. He was. Goose in, now behind Pit Crew. Pit Crew in for mediums, just about covers off the overcut from Goose. He maintains third position. He has, though, fallen off the back of the front two. It looked like a three-way fight as we reach, pretty near the halfway stage in this race. It is thinning down to a bit of a two-way fight, in all honesty. Somehow I made it. Still leads, as he has done for most of the race, but that's not a comfortable gap. You really need to extend that to a good few seconds. Oh, he's hit Pit Crew on the overpass. They've collided, and that allows Antti to pull alongside. Pappy squeezing him out, though. Don't know what Vlad did to please Pappy, but he's really helped him out. He's actually kept position for him. How much longer for, though? The Canadian fleet getting in the way of the Finnish driver. Not much longer. They're really holding up Vlad. Now can Antti take the overpass as an opportunity to get through? Vlad squeezes his former teammate and comrade to the inside, and Antti goes through. Leads the halfway mark in the race. Gosh, what a turnaround that caused. And that sent Pit Crew down into fourth place as well. A really unfortunate collision as they went through the underpass and overpass, wobbling free. My goodness gracious. Prix into the pit lane now. That will give Pit Crew a bit of breathing room. That hilariously now means it's a 4-5 for ThunderX. One of the drivers spending 2 tokens, the other spending none whatsoever. Pit Crew might be kicking himself. He didn't put 3 into this race, because that could have been a real godsend of a victory. And that car's had 3 speeds since the start of the season. Nobody's managed to catch up to them. Nobody's really wanted to. Antti leads from Vlad, just. Goose third now after Pit Crew's erroneous running. He's got slightly fresher mediums as well, gets past his old pal Pappy. He's had a really good season, Goose, and he just needs a really strong finish here to top it all off. Of course, looking at the driver standing, he's got that win in Valencia, followed that up. Well, he previously got a second place in Saudi Arabia as well, so great points for him at this stage of the season. The pole position as well, really nice, and a couple of points at Vallelunga just to cap that all off. He could really, well, he can make an overtake here. He comes up to the back of Somehow I Made It, who looked really not really comfortable, but look just about comfortable as the race leader up to this point, and he's now fallen down to third. It might take something for him to win from here. It really might. My gosh. Antti leads from Goose. Somehow I Made It. Closes back in. He is not out of this fight. He might go to the inside. He does go to the inside. He does get the position. Elbows out and no nonsense overtaking from the Russian driver. P2 for him. He sets his sights on old rival, on old friend, old co-owner and teammate. Antti Amazing out in the lead. Goose, though, will not let this fight slip. He's got a really good run out through the right-hander. Vlad just covers him off enough, but he doesn't cover him off quite enough to stop him from pulling ahead down that straight. Goose might go deep, though. Loses a little bit of time through the mid-corner. Antti goes into the pit lane. Remember, that's halfway around the lap at this circuit, which means Pit Crew will come out into third position. Antti will come out of the pit lane in fourth. Goose and Vlad fighting it out here. Goose was leading. I think Vlad might have got him for a second, and now that position has been returned to the Canadian. Both of them are not in the net race lead. Antti looking to make progress here. Caddo running in a very respectable fifth. That's been a real rise that I haven't spotted, actually. 2 tokens for him. P5. He'd be delighted with that if the race ends that way. Grandi in 6th position in that ThunderX car. Prix in 7th and Juan in 8th. They have fallen down a little bit now. Uh-oh. I think my keys have taken on a mind of their own. Seems to be fixed now. Bit of a mechanical issue, but we're all good. Vlad into the pit lane. Antti, unsurprisingly, goes down the main straight, goes into the race lead. We didn't expect anything less from the Finnish driver. Caddo into the pit lane now as well. Will he lose any net position? No, because Juan's in. Suicide, though, does come back. He's still looking for points here. Pappy, I think, is well and truly out of it. Yeah, look at that. It's an 8-second gap, or it was an 8-second gap. Really interesting battle on the edge of the points. Grandi now down in 8th, having pitted for fresh softs. He was in that chat for a top 5 finish, but Caddo has put daylight a little bit, at least, between himself. Suicide needs to come in. Prix needs to come in. You know, Grandi, he's still in a good shout for a top 7 or a top 6 finish, though. Juan in 9th, Jaruni in 10th. They've all just pitted. Fox in 11th, yet to pit as well. I can't see him getting points, and I think that may only further sink the Fox team, the Fox oversteer experience team. We might see them fall off the grid this season for the first time since their creation back in Season 5, where they won the championship first time of asking, and in somewhat of a Leicester story, they may be going right back down to the depths of the league. Such a cruel mistress Ultimate Virtual can be. Goose is really staying out on these tyres. Like, staying out. I mean, that is something. 1.5 seconds his gap still is over Anti. Anti now has a pretty convincing hold over Vlad, who gets held up by his teammate. Rito in the way there. Gosh, Vlad needs to get rid of these cars. No. Well, Rooney's pushed Rito out the way. That's been the most helpful thing that anybody's done for Vlad so far in this race. He does go deep into the hairpin, but actually means he gets a better exit because he has to go slightly tighter. Gets through on Goose, who does finally go into the pit lane. So long off to Vlad that he's almost considerably on an ultimate strategy here. And funny enough, Anti only a 1.5 seconds ahead of Somehow I Made It. Will we get... Of course, this was the race back in Season 5 that started that winning run. 3 races in a row for the Superfast Racing team, a near record. I believe only BAV with 4 have more. Not even 4 maybe for the... They would have... Yeah, I think Season 3, rounds 3, 4, 5 and 6, I think they did get. But still. Or maybe 3, 4, 5 and 7. I think Magello, they didn't win. Pretty crazy. Something like that at least. Prix in 5th, she does need to pit. Caddo will inherit that position. This is his real fight. Grandy in what is a very, very good Thunder X. Once again, they always seem to have had, pretty much since the end of Season 4, a really, really strong car. And Grandy losing the championship on the final day because of having a poor enough car that he wasn't able to grab any tokenless points when one single one would have got him the title. Vlad gets the race lead here as Corvid comes flying through. But look, Anti trying half a move up the inside, but this is amazing progress from Vlad. The soft tyre, I think, is really the one to be on here at Palanga. He's sliding a little bit now, but I think this may well just pay off for him. Anti doesn't have the pace on the mediums. He's dropped a good few seconds to Vlad, and I think that will only continue as they come across for the finish line. It's a 25.3 for Vlad, a 27.8, a 1.5 seconds slower for Anti, and he keeps getting slower still. It was a 1 point something. It's about 1.8 before Vlad hit the pit entry line. He's coming in a little before Anti, but it won't be much before Anti. I could see Anti in this lap or next, to be totally honest, and that will put Vlad in the net race lead. He's just 3 seconds off Goose. He needs to not lose position to pit crew. Another collision between these two. He got away with 1. I think 2 would be fatal. Goose. Oh, he's a good few seconds behind Goose. I think he'll be fine. I think it's just you carry... Look at the speed that you're going along this main straight. Going full speed, especially with turbo, versus through the pits. It's quite something. Goose, 0.8 behind Anti now. He won't be in for another good few laps, and Anti's hit Vlad that time. Was it on purpose? Was it sabotage? Did he take out his old teammate? Just so he can try get a bit of a better chance at winning? My goodness. I don't think I've ever seen something like this. A man so conspired against by those competing with him. They cannot let him win. He just dodges at that time. Jesus Christ. 3 seconds is the gap. Anti indubitably will be in this lap. I'd be shocked if he isn't. My golly, he's staying out. Right, that's losing him the race. I think that has to be it. 8 laps to the end. They'll both be in one more time. Vlad will be in for a set of softs. Anti probably in now. Would go for a set of mediums. Maybe softs. Softs 8 laps to the end. He could back that. He gets Goose though. Look at this. Moving past Goose. Equal as they come into turn 1. Anti gets put in a wall by Goose. He's got no grip left. He is finally into the pit lane. As if on cue. Somehow I made it. Absolutely zooming down the main straight past a couple of lapped cars. Pit crew in as well. It's not been his day. He's actually getting passed by Caddo. Is he? No. Mistook that. But Prix back into 5th. Kudos. I guess the mediums versus the hards is quite a difference on pace. Right, we'll see. Goose, your race leader, only a second ahead of Vlad, much older tyres, but Vlad comes in at the same time. My goodness. These three could all be together on the pit exit. And they will. Vlad forfeits any advantage that he had from that previous stint by coming in so early on the softs. But maybe that's the strategy. He's got 4 tokens. He knows that he should have more pace in hand than these drivers. Maybe he wants to use it. He doesn't need the tyre advantage. He has the pace. And he wants to level the playing field so he won't get caught out pitting later. He won't get caught out by rain or by strategy or any sort of evil that would stop him from taking victory here. He is saying, I want these tyres. I want the same final stint as all of them. I know that I can win this. 3 cars separated by 0.3 of a second as they come through down the back straight on the 5th to last lap. He edges Goosey, edges next to him, has to back out as they go through the second tyre chicane. Can't quite get the move done there. All the while Goose closing up to Anti. This is an absolutely thrilling ending to this Grand Prix. Goose might just pull ahead, turbos through on lap 51 of 54. He takes the lead, he has the fastest lap as well. This could see him potentially cement his names in the books as one of the pure title contenders for this season. A victory here would be astronomical for him. Anti gets passed by Vlad. One more move for this driver who we may not see on the grid for the foreseeable future, at least not in an active capacity. He goes down the inside on Goose. Similar story with Goose as well. These could be 2 titans of the league stepping away after this season. And what a privilege it's been to watch them fight throughout the years. This may be the last hurrah, but they're certainly giving it their all. Somehow I made it just ahead of Goose. Needs to keep that position. Jake is in this as a lapped car. He might be looking to hunt down Somehow I Made It as Anti gets through on Goose. And Jake getting a real slow exit out of that corner, letting his teammate through. This could be a very close finish now. Suicide, he's in 7th place. He takes Anti wide. We're going to have a showdown on the final lap of the race. Anti gets a better exit out through the right-hander. 1 lap to go and they're even Stevens almost over the line. It'll all depend on turn 1. Anti looks to get the better exit. Goose looks like he's out of it now. Somehow I Made It. Deploying the turbo. Might have it. Can Anti do anything here? He needs to get the better exit. Can he go down the inside over the bridge? Yes, he can. Will it be enough? Side by side they go. Anti wins the Lithuanian Grand Prix by less than half a second. The cruelest of endings to the Russian driver. Elation for his former teammate. By the finest of margins, the Finn takes it. Anti wins it here in Palanga. Somehow Made It will have to settle for second, but what a well fought second it was. Goose, 3rd place for him in the end. 4th for pit crew. Caddo takes 5th position, a very solid finish. 6th for Grandy, tokenless. Similarly, 7th for Prix, tokenless. 8th for Suicide, tokenless. 9th for Juan, tokenless. 10th for Charuni, tokenless as well. Fox, with a single token spent, comes home behind Patrick Happy. Another nail in the coffin of the red and orange team. Kraft will take 13th. Jake, our championship leader, not anymore. He loses that now to Goose. Shiloh, Todd, fighting for the final few positions. But after 23 minutes and 57 seconds of racing, and gosh how Vlad wishes it was just a few seconds less, Anti wins the Lithuanian Grand Prix. Somehow Made It. 2nd place in the end. Goose, 3rd place, but with the fastest lap. He is now your championship leader, but it could have been a lot more. A victory here, that would have been in great stead to win the whole thing. Pit crew off the mark with his tokens, and he does take a very solid 12 points. He might have hoped it was a little bit more, but you can't complain with 6 points per token. Caddo, P5 in the end for him and for Team Velocity. They'll be absolutely delighted with that as well, to be honest, and a good few seconds out of Grandy in the end. 5 points per token for them. Very pleased. Grandy, great points for him and Thunder X. That is a huge result for them. 20 points off those 2 tokens spent today. They go zooming up the Constructors' Championship. Prix and Juan, double points for Audi. In the end, only 8 points for the team, but still a really nice contribution. Suicide with 4 for Pappy Pops, and Jiruni takes 1 for BFX as well. The Fox team, pointless today, despite Fox's token. Pappy fell down from the second row to P11, not as successful as his teammate. Kraft, not as successful as his teammate either, 13th only for him. Jake, then Shiloh, Todd, then Kada, Corvid, Rito, and Adva. That is all for today. What a thrilling race. What a dramatic ending. Couldn't have asked for a better one, to be honest. But that is only round 6. We've got 4 races left this season before we take another big old break. We've got Istanbul coming up next week, Singapore, the Daytona, and then we finish it off mid-May in Sao Paulo as usual. So very excited to bring those final 4 races of the season to you. But for now, bye-bye.